Our epistle lesson for today is from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 16-21, as translated in the Message by Eugene Peterson. The Apostle Paul founded a church in Corinth, and sometimes the members were confused and will contact him for advice on what to do and how to respond. As followers of Christ, let's hear some of what he wrote about our call to do what is right. Because of the decision, we don't evaluate people by what they have or how they look. You look at the Messiah that way once and got it all wrong, as you know. We certainly don't look at him that way anymore. Now we look inside, and what we see is that anyone united with the Messiah gets a fresh start. It is created new. The old life is gone, a new life virgin. Look at it all. All this comes from the God who settled the relationship between us and him, and then called us to settle our relationship with each other. God put the world square with himself through the Messiah, giving the world a fresh start by offering forgiveness of sin. God has given us the task of telling everyone what he is doing. We're Christ's representatives. God uses us to persuade men and women to drop their differences and enter into God's work of making things right between them. We're speaking of Christ himself now. Become friends with God. He's already a friend with you. How you are? In Christ, God put the wrong on him who never did anything wrong, so we could be put right with God.
Today, the FUMC players will present a story about 3 questions. These are the questions we all ask ourselves as we become good Christians.
The 3 questions, based on the story of Leo Tolstoy and written by John J. Muth, performed by the FUMC players.
There once was a child named Nikki who sometimes felt uncertain about the right way to act. She wanted to be a good person, but didn't always know the best way to do that.
Her friends, Sonia the heron, Gogo the monkey, and Pushkin the dog, understood and wanted to help.
Nikki had 3 questions. She felt that if she could find out the answers to her questions, she would know what to do.
When is the best time to do things?
Nikki's 3 friends considered her first question.
Sonia said, "To know the best time to do things, one must plan in advance."
Gogol said, "You will know when to do things if you watch and pay close attention."
Pushkin said, "You can't pay attention to everything yourself. You need a pack to keep watch and help decide when to do things. For example, Gogol, a coconut is about to fall on your head."
Ow!
Nikki thought for a moment. Then she asked her second question.
Who is the most important one?
Sonia replied, "Those that are closest to heaven."
Gogol added, "Those who know how to heal the sick, especially when you get hit in the head with a coconut."
Pushkin growled, "Those who make the rules are the most important."
Nikki thought for a moment. Then she asked her third question.
What is the right thing to do? Flying! Having fun all the time. Fighting.
Then Nikki thought for a long time. She loved her friends. She knew that they were all trying their best to help her answer her questions, but their answers didn't seem quite right.
Then an idea came to her. She decided to ask Leo the turtle, who has lived for a very long time. Surely, Leo will know the answers I am looking for.
When Nikki arrived at Leo's house, she found Leo digging in the garden. She explained that she had 3 important questions.
When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? And what is the right thing to do?
Leo listened carefully, but she only smiled. Then she continued digging.
You must be tired. Let me help you.
Leo handed her shovel to Nikki and thanked her. And because it was easier for a young girl to dig than it was for an old turtle, Nikki kept on digging until the job was finished.
Just then, the winds began to blow and rain burst from the darkened clouds.
Towards the cottage for shelter, Nikki suddenly heard a cry for help.
Running down the path, she found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. She helped her up and helped her walk through the storm.
Carefully, Nikki helped her into Leo's house and bandaged her leg. Leo and Nikki took good care of Panda. Leo gave her chicken soup, and Nikki tucked her into bed to rest.
The storm raged on, banging the windows and doors. The storm woke Panda.
Where am I? Where is my child?
Nikki ran out of the cottage and down the path. The roar of the storm was deafening.
Pushing against the howling wind and drenching rain, Nikki ran farther into the forest. There she found the panda's child, cold and shivering on the ground.
The little panda was wet and scared, but alive. Nikki ran back to Leo's house as fast as she could. She carried him inside and made him warm and dry. Then she laid him in her mother's arms.
Leo smiled when she saw what Nikki had done.
The next morning, the sun was warm, birds sang, and all was well in the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikki for saving her baby. At that moment, Sonia, Gogol, and Pushkin arrived to make sure that everyone was all right.
Nikki felt at peace. She had good friends, and she had saved the panda and her child, but she also felt disappointed. She still had not found the answers to her 3 questions. So she asked Leo one more time.
When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important? And what is the right thing to do?
But your questions have been answered.
They have?
Leo explained. Yesterday, if you had not stayed to help me in the garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cries for help. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent digging in the garden. The most important one at the moment was me, and the most important thing to do was to help me in my garden.
Later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you spent mending her leg and saving her child. The most important ones were the panda and her baby, and the most important thing to do was to take care of them and make them safe.
We must remember, then, that there's only one important time, and that time is now.
The most important one is always the one you are.
And the most important thing to do is to do good.
For these, my dear, are the answers to what is most important in this world.
This is why we are here.